Mindful listeners, I'm Andrea Justine and this is The Mindful Ear, a podcast about learning to care for every aspect of your life in a holistic way. By holding space to curiously observe what thoughts and feelings are uncovered when sincerely reflecting on lived experiences. The goal of each episode is to deepen our connection with ourselves, discover ways to reshape our beliefs for more hopeful outcomes, and commit to practicing more of the values that matter most. Each week, I'll use the framework of a sacred reading practice to analyse a quote or well-known saying through a specific theme. The theme will be the bridge to establish an intentional connection with the text, and the reading practice will be used to structure the curious exploration of any thoughts and feelings that come up. Last week, I analysed the quote, "The grass is greener where you water it," through the theme being present, which encouraged me to give less attention to the many imagined futures I held on to as motivation growing up, and commit to showing myself more compassion by looking for opportunities to appreciate the present day successes. I'm excited to learn what gifts will continue to be given by allowing time to sincerely reflect on lived experiences and using what is revealed to progress to a position of loving life, not because it is perfect or easy or because all its faults have been forgiven, but because there is a greater understanding and appreciation of its complexity. This week, I'll be analysing a quote from Marquise Brownlee, a highly rated tech reviewer on YouTube, professional ultimate frisbee player, and podcast host. After you've listened to this episode, I'd encourage you to take a look at the many videos Marquise and team have produced. They just might help you make a more informed purchase on your next car, phone, camera, TV, or any other tech-related product. Earlier this year, 2024, Marquise published a video entitled "On Quitting YouTube." It was released in response to an increase of OG YouTubers quitting YouTube, which for many involved stepping back in order to pursue other interests and or repositioning their content so that it included more of their current interests and not just the interests they became known for. Which to me makes perfect sense. Some of these OGs have been creating YouTube videos for over 10 or 15 years, which is a long time to be in any job, let alone a job that requires you to be always on all the time. In the video, Marquise discusses the progression of a YouTuber career and how the progression of that career can end up separating the creator with all the creative parts of the role. Because in order for the channel creator to take part in opportunities to grow their channel, they will first need to free up some time, which means getting support for such things as editing, creating thumbnails, scripting, coming up with content creation ideas, etc. And the more opportunities they take part in, the more of the creation process they hand over to someone else, resulting in the growth opportunities overtaking the creativity, despite it being the creative parts that would have likely inspired them to get started in the first place. However, Marquise believes it doesn't have to be like that for everyone. There is a way to manage growth so that it does not overtake everything and separate the creator from the creativity. This is done by keeping creativity or creative values at the centre and being aware of the distraction that can be presented by all the extras that come with growth, such as travel, money, free gifts, etc. Marquise likens these creative values to the three hearts of an octopus. And from that analogy came this week's quote, "Learn what those three hearts are as early and as deliberately as you can," which we'll be analysing through the theme setting intentions, using the sacred reading practice Lectio Divina. I introduced Lectio Divina in last week's episode. I feel it's a good introduction practice. The 4-part process aids the establishment of an intentional connection that can reveal a personal message. Each step requires a reader to engage with the text in a different way, which creates space to curiously observe where the text resonates on a personal level. The first step of Lectio Divina is to read the text and consider what it is saying to you. The quote, "Learn what those three hearts are as early and deliberately as you can," is saying there is something that needs to be learned, and by likening it to a heart conveys a message that what needs to be learned is significant and could be life-affirming. Step 2 of Lectio Divina calls for reflection on any word or phrase that stands out. What stands out to me from the quote is "as early and as deliberately." Similar to what stood out to me in the quote we analysed last week, these words are very directive and convey the urgency. The quote is already telling me what I need to learn is important or of personal value, but this is the part of the quote that emphasised the speed and urgency in which it needs to be learnt. Without it, the quote is simply, "Learn what those three hearts are," which is nice and encouraging, but to me, it does not have the same urgency. Deliberately also really stands out. To be deliberate is to do something on purpose, with intent or reason. The alternative would be to do something by accident or by mistake. By using deliberately, This quote is saying there needs to be purpose and reason to what is being learned. It shouldn't be taken lightly and selected at random. It needs to be set with intention. Step 3 of Lectio Divina calls for contemplation of where the text touches your life. This is part of the practice to take time to reflect on where the quote resonates on your lived experience and consider where the theme setting intention is reflected in that experience. What comes to mind for me is a YouTube channel I started many moons ago. I started it because I liked the idea of having a way to document and share my personal style, as well as the clothes that I had made. I'd create lookbook style videos to show off how I put my outfits together. I would create videos specifically to show off the clothes I had made. I would document the process of making an item or organising my workspace in the style of a studio vlog, and would do sit-down videos to discuss and review the items I had made. I really enjoyed documenting and sharing. However, deep down, I wanted the channel to blow up overnight so I could be a full-time YouTuber, quit my 9 to 5 of the time, which I was not enjoying a whole lot, and get the recognition that I was someone with something to contribute. However, when I became aware that my channel wasn't growing as quickly as others who had started at a similar time and in a similar niche to me, I got super disheartened. I wasn't going to be an instant overnight success, and even though I really enjoyed the new skills I was developing and the whole process of creating videos, from making the clothes to planning the outfits I'd put together and getting all dressed up for the shoot, because my focus had shifted from creative motivations, the time it took to do all those things no longer seemed like time well spent. It no longer felt like I was delivering on the goal, so eventually I stopped making videos and massively cut down on the clothes I made. When I reflect on this experience through the theme setting intentions, I wonder whether if I had been clear on what my 3 hearts, my 3 intentions were, would I have been more committed to continuing to document and share my personal style and the clothes I made? I wonder if I had been more deliberate with my intentions, would I still have found myself questioning if the time it took to create the videos was time well spent or not? Through this theme, I can see there was a disconnect between my intentions and my goals. I feel an intention is a plan you are willing to pursue until the final outcome, whatever it might be, whereas a goal is a desired result. And though I was pretty clear on what my desired result would be to become a YouTube famous, I'm not sure that that was the outcome I was really willing to commit to. And I have a hard drive full of unpublished content that would echo the same sentiment. The reason I stopped publishing new videos was because I became so concerned with how many views and subscribers each would get. I couldn't bear to face it if one underperformed. So I stopped sharing the outfits I put together and the clothes I made, but I didn't stop documenting them. So I wonder if I had deliberately and clearly set my intention at the start to only focus on documenting and sharing and kept those intentions at the center so that I would not get swayed by the distractions presented by my unrealistic desired outcome, would I still be publishing videos now? The final step of Lectio Divina calls for consideration of what the connection with the text is calling you to do. Consider what the key takeaways are and how they can be used to set an intentional action to deliver hopeful progress. From taking time to contemplate where this quote and theme resonates with my lived experience, I feel called to be more sincere and aware of the intentions I set. To answer the question, if I had been able to set appropriate intentions when I started my YouTube channel, would I still be sharing videos today? I'd say 95% yes. 95% because nothing is 100% and any adjustment to a timeline can impact all related events. And I'm confident with the 95% because, as I said, I did continue to document the outfits and I did continue to make outfits. I just stopped sharing them. When I really think about it, it's quite sad that I was willing to let go of something that I enjoyed so much, which I think is why it is important to hold space to care for and learn from all aspects of lived experience. Because I know at the time I wouldn't have really considered what I was giving up. I would have just done it and moved on to the next thing. And I think because I didn't consider at the time how much I enjoyed what I was doing and what I'd be giving up, whatever I would have replaced it with, it probably wouldn't have given the same level of enjoyment. So I probably would have stopped doing that thing and moved on to the next thing, constantly looking for something to fill this gap of enjoyment that I had. So I think doing things you really enjoy is a key part to progressing towards loving life. Because if you fill a lot of your time with things that you don't enjoy, it's kind of hard to see what you can love about something if you're constantly faced with things that you really don't like. So this quote, learn what those three hearts are as early and deliberately as you can, is calling me to consider what intentions I can set in order to pursue a moment of enjoyment in every day. That way, with each day, I am faced with at least one thing that I can look at and be like, yeah, I loved that. I enjoyed that. I really liked that I did that one thing, rather than approaching every day and thinking about all of the things in it that maybe I didn't like so much. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode and will allow yourself time to consider if there is something you are currently in pursuit of that doesn't really feel that fulfilling, and also give yourself time to consider what your three hearts could be, where you're setting an intention each day that's really simple to achieve, free of external distractions, that can just spark a bit of joy in your life. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be something, something small that you might otherwise take for granted and overlook. Maybe like watching the sunrise or going for a walk, just something that you enjoy, just so that you can have that little bit of love in every day. To end this practice, I want to express my gratitude for my younger self, who had the courage and creativity to start a YouTube channel and develop the skills needed to create engaging videos that make me smile and fill me with a sense of pride each time I watch them. If I could leave them a message now, I would encourage them to focus on what they enjoy most about creating and sharing, as they will be the motivating factors that will withstand the test of time. You've been listening to The Mindful Ear. I'm your host, Andrea Justine. I'd love to read where this quote resonates in your life in the comments, along with any thoughts you'd like to share about this episode. Next week, we'll be examining a quote from the TV series Mad Men through the theme expectations. You can follow the show at The Mindful Ear on Pinterest and Instagram, or head over to the website, themindfulear.co.uk, for the episode transcripts, some artwork inspired by the episode, and podcast recommendations from other series I've listened to and loved. Take care, and thanks for tuning in.